Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves, or welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel today. The international break is finally over, Premier League football is back, and this time we're on the road. We're playing up against Watford at Vicarage Road this Saturday, hoping to see Wolves score their first Premier League goal of the season, and hopefully get our first Premier League win under Bruno Lage. As always, guys, let me know your thoughts ahead of the game in the comment section down below. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Throughout the video today, obviously, we'll have match facts popping up on the screen. I used to do the little segment, didn't I? But I'll just put them on the screen throughout the video. But it's going to be an interesting game. 3 games so far this season where Wolves have actually been really, really good. Leicester game, second half especially, we were dominant. Spurs game, we were dominant throughout. Manchester United game, the same story. But these are the games now, you look on paper, between now and the end of November, in my opinion, pretty much we should be, on paper, we should be getting points or a point out of every single one of these games. Of course, that's not going to be the case, but you'd really hope Wolves can start pushing themselves up the table now over the next month or so. And it's a big test for Bruno Lage and co, because if we fail to pick up points or score goals in the next 1 or 2 games, it's going to be from the first 3 games where it was bad luck to now having, poor finishing or poor performances overall. So there is that little bit of pressure now over the next few games that Wolves have to start getting the points, really. Bit of a, confusion over what's going to be happening regarding the team. Obviously, I'll give my predicted lineup shortly. But Raul Jimenez, at the time of recording, I still don't know whether he's going to be playing or not. Part of me thinks it's a no. Based on what we've seen from the Brazilian FA with some of the Brazilian players, and Mexico were going pretty hard with FIFA to try and stop Jimenez from playing this weekend and possibly put further sanctions onto Wolves. But other than that, there's the team more or less sort of picks itself, or does it, to be fair? I say that. Let's just jump straight into the predicted lineup. This is my predicted lineup for the game, and I'm going to stick with a 3-4-3. But what I'm going to do today is a predicted lineup, and then what could be the lineup as well, just to confuse things. So, for my predicted lineup, I've got Jose Sarr in goal. Of course, a lot of people putting a little bit of blame on him for that goal against Manchester United. But other than that, I think, his distribution has been much better. Or better than Rui Patricio over, the last 3 games. The back 5, I'm going to go with Marcel sticking at left wing back, Semedo at right wing back. The 3 centre backs are such a difficult area to look at, but I reckon Willy Boly is going to be reintroduced. So I'm going to go with Willy Boly, Connor Cody, and Max Kilman. Boly there ahead of Romain Saiss. Which may seem a little bit harsh on Saiss, to be fair. We'll stick with Moutinho and Neves in the middle and stick with the front 3. Well, I say stick with the front 3. It's definitely going to be an Adama and Trincao for me, but on the assumption that Raul Jimenez is unavailable, I'm going to go with Mr. Fabio Silva up front. So that is one of the teams that I think Bruno could go with. But let's look at another side, which I think is, again, another situation that we could look at. Bruno finally switching to a 4 at the back system and playing a 4-2-3-1 type system. So, Sarr again in goal. I'd stick with Marcel at left back and Semedo at right back. Centre backs is a difficult one for me, but on the basis that he dropped Connor Cody when we were 4 at the back against Manchester United, I'm going to stick with Max Kilman and Willy Boly here. I think that is very unlikely. I still do think Connor Cody would start, but I'd say those 2, Neves and Moutinho in the middle, Daniel Podence ahead of those as the number 10, and then left midfield of Trincao or Adama, right midfield of vice versa, and then Fabio Silva yet again up top. And then you've got the firepower, much more firepower. I think the bench looks stronger than it has all season, and arguably stronger than some of the benches that we saw last year, with Hwang Hee-chan coming back, Gerson Mosquera coming back from injury, as well as obviously Boly, who I've already mentioned. Much stronger team overall for Wolves. But I think this is the first week out of the sort of first 3 Premier League games we've had where the lineup is possibly back up in the air. But by Saturday, I think we'll have on Saturday we know how Bruno Lage will go, and maybe even in tomorrow's press conference, Friday's press conference, we may well hear a little bit more. But be sure to follow us on our social medias, because loads of news will come out over Friday regarding how Wolves may well line up, and of course the situation regarding Raul Jimenez. But we're going to go forward now onto the opposition preview. I spoke to a good friend of mine, Leigh, about Watford, about their season so far, their transfers, their tactics, their manager, and how he thinks they'll get on Saturday against Wolves. So guys, I'm here alongside a good friend of mine, Leigh. He's a Watford fan. Leigh, how you keeping, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Thanks for joining me on the channel today. Looking forward for, obviously, Premier League football to be back, mate, after the international break. I'm not a big fan of the internationals, I've got to be honest. But
no, as I just said, it's nice seeing England play well, but it's like 3 weeks into the season. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's another one in 4 weeks.
Short international break either. It's massive.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, hoping to learn a little bit more about Watford. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about how you guys have started, but transfers, the transfer window ended right at the start of the international break. Just looking at some of the players now, it's pretty interesting to see who Watford have sort of brought in, and a lot of almost safe, I could say, Premier League players with Premier League experience, like your Danny Rose, like your Moussa Sissoko is quite an interesting one. But who are those out of those transfers there? I can see that the highest amount you spent was around 9 million on, is it Imran? Is it Loser? Is it from?
It said Loser, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and his first appearance for us was pretty much of a loser as well.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah.
Out of those players, though, who excites you the most? Who do you think could bring the most?
Surprising. I'm going to surprise you here. Kuchka, who came in from Parma, who I think was one of our lowest ones, and he's like 36 years old.
I can see him, yeah.
There was a little bit of like, what the hell are we doing? But honestly, mate, he was first game of the season. Villa ran the show, absolute class, tenacious, loves a tackle, picks a pass. You might have seen the Chucho goal. Obviously, he rode a tackle, which then cleverly rode a tackle to get the ball up to Chucho, which obviously then he scored an absolute worldie. I was in the back of the stands on that one, probably the best goal I've ever seen at Watford in terms of like technique and finish. But yeah, Kuchka's been really good, and Etebo as well, who's currently on loan from Stoke.
Yeah, I've just seen. Yeah.
They're the two that have kind of jumped out. I mean, it's quite easy to compare players to Kante, but Etebo has that kind of ilk. He'll sit deep, he'll win things, he'll motor forward, maybe not as much as a Kante does. But yeah, two centre midfielders, probably the biggest area that I think we've definitely seen a vast improvement. Shout out as well to a very risky signing in Emmanuel up front as well. He's done very, very, very well as well. Links in with Sarr really well.
Emmanuel Dennis, isn't it? The one
Dennis,
from I think we were linked with him a little bit, but yeah, he's he looks some good smart signings there as well. And I think, like you say with Kuka, is it the experience? Sometimes you can't buy that, and just players like we've got João Martino, gets a lot of stick from fans, but still on his day, he just absolutely runs games.
Yeah, well, I think you've kind of like put the nail on the head there really with the kind of like the safe signings. I know Sissoko came in as well, but we've had a little bit of an unrest in pre-season. Obviously, Will Hughes has gone, Chalabar's gone. We had players that have played quite well for us for last year, but maybe egos got a little bit much for them, or contracts were coming up to the end of renewals, and agents wanted more than what the club was willing to give. I know there's some talk about relegation release fees in terms of like wage reductions in there, which like Will Hughes's agent wasn't happy with, and so on. So we actually have lost a real good young core of the squad, and it's been replaced with older players. Now, there's a little bit of rumblings in like, the social medias of what are we doing, the age of the squad is just jumping, but the experience comes with it. And at the end of the day, what's the most important thing with the Premier League? Staying in it.
Yeah.
So I think we've recruited not particularly for the future, but for now, which is something we didn't do in the last time we were in the Premier League. We were an embarrassment. So
I was going to say, is that the expectation for Watford this year, just to stay up for this season? Because you have seen it so often with the Championship teams, like Norwich, that's what everyone is expecting them to go straight back down again. Yeah. But I think, with that experience, is that what Watford fans just want to at least stay in this division?
There was a bit of nerves about fans coming back, and obviously we were like, I think we had the best home record in the whole of the top tier leagues in Europe and second leagues by like 19 home wins and a couple of draws, no losses. So the expectation from the fan base, who don't really are not football people as such, but maybe don't look on a bigger scale, will be we're going back to Vicarage Road, we should be winning. This is the Premier League, it's a whole different beast. And Brighton absolutely picked us apart, and they were so good. But I hope the fan base, it doesn't feel like the fan base's majority is we should be easily staying up.
Yeah.
But I think we have the capability to stay up. I would definitely take 1 point last day of the season survival. Anything to stay up. Like anything.
And a close heart attack on the final day as well.
Yeah. Well, we've got used to those over the years.
Look, I mean, you mentioned those opening games. A cracking opening day win against Villa, 3-2, held on against a team who arguably should be pushing towards the top flight. And then, a couple of tricky games against Brighton, obviously, which you mentioned, and fell to a defeat, and Spurs as well, who are unbeaten at the minute. What's been the overall feel after those first 3 games? I know you mentioned one of the goals from the Villa game was fantastic, but
yeah, I mean, we're not hard to work out what we're going to do. You can see where our strengths are quite clearly. You can see Sarr is kind of not a level above everybody, but he's just, what he's going to give him the ball. He'll get on the wing. He'll cut inside. He'll find Dennis or a late runner from midfield. I think we're pretty easy to pick off, and that's what Brighton did so well against us. All Potter would have done was watch the Villa game and go, right, we'll just stop them doing that then. And it's literally what they did, and we had no answer. So I'd like to think, with the majority of our team being at home over the last international break, there's some work been put in by Munoz and maybe looking for an alternative style, which I don't think we have right now. I think we are very much a one-trick pony. If it works on the day, you are going to find us very difficult to play against. If it doesn't work on the day and you've got a sussed, we're going to be in for a rough ride. I think I said at the start of the season on a different podcast that we will win a couple we shouldn't win. Villa probably being one of those already. I mean, 3-2 was quite polite to Villa, but we will definitely get heavily beaten a couple of times as well, because we are quite predictable. That's our only downside. Very good at what we're doing but we are very predictable as well. Tottenham was much better though. Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping to see more of the Tottenham performance against you guys. But obviously, you guys are coming from a weird angle anyway.
Yeah.
Being as you've not really picked anything up this season.
Not picked anything up, not scored any goals, but been very good. Almost the opposite for you guys. Probably 3/4 of our core squad have been out on internationals, and then we've got the complication, which I probably would have spoke about earlier in the video about Jimenez. I still don't know if he's going to play, so it'll be
affected by that. So it's a centre back who's only played, I think, one or two of the 3 anyway. But he's still a big loss for us. But I think there's only one centre back, Serrata.
What's the obviously Watford sometimes quite well known for chopping and changing the managers. What's he like? I've not heard much about him.
He's all right. He's it's a weird one, because when he joined us in the Championship, he started playing this 4-4-2, and really there wasn't much of a change from the last manager to the new head coach technically, but last one to the new one. And then social media was on his back, and he is quite active on social media, on his Twitter, and it was play 4-3-3, play 4-3-3. And ever since then, we played 4-3-3. Whether he listened or not, I don't quite know. But it is joked about that he did listen to the fan base screaming 4-3-3. He seems to have cultivated an environment where everyone wants to play for everyone, which is something we haven't had since Grazia, probably who was 2 years ago now since he left.
Yeah.
But right at the start of Grazia's time, we had this massive squad togetherness where it was kind of all working for each other. Even when it wasn't pretty, it was nitty gritty, and we dug in. And I feel like we've got that back, and we are building some kind of identity. We're also going for this massive change of evolution of squad personality. Obviously, Deeney's gone in the last week.
Yeah.
And I mentioned a few others, Chalobah and Will, players that have been with us for years. Like, we are going through a real big cycle change in terms of the key components within the team. Obviously, Ben Foster is another key player who doesn't really play much anymore because Bachmann's been playing. But then saying that, though, Bachmann's been a bit interesting over the international break. He had a few kick in the ground and stuff like that. And so happy with Munoz.
Yeah. But
questionable tactically. Right. Substitutions, not the greatest sometimes. But he's young and he's only come from Georgian football. So I think he's only recently just got the right qualifications to be
Someone mentioned that on our podcast that he had to get the qualifications.
So he's an interesting one. Definitely, you can definitely tell he's been a player at the highest level because he brings that dressing room camaraderie, and you see it in the players as well. But sometimes getting along doesn't always produce the best results. You need to get along, and they need that little bit of tactical nous about you as well, which is a worry he might not have. But I think it's still early to decide, to be honest, and he hasn't managed in the Premier League until now. So we'll
and
see.
The toughest question, the final question, your score prediction for Saturday's game.
I would genuinely, I'd be pleased with a 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
However, though, I'm going to go 2-1 probably either way. I think it will be tight though. We don't give up many goals,
Yeah.
and if we do, we are normally within the same kind of range of goals scored.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a goal difference or a 1-1. I don't think we're going to see a 0-0. I just say Watford leak too many.
Yeah. As long as Wolves can score and open our scoring for the season, I'll be absolutely fine with that. No problem. Leigh, absolute pleasure having you on the channel.
Yeah,
I'll leave the links for Leigh's socials in the description, and may the best team win on Saturday.
Yeah, good luck, guys. Good luck.
Cheers. So big thanks to Leigh for jumping on the channel. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, his links will be in the description down below. For Saturday's game, I'm going to go with a win for Wolves. I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 Wolves. I'm not going to go with a... No. Yeah, 2-0. Go on, I'm going to back it. 2-0 Wolves win. Fingers crossed. I've still got very high hopes for Fabio Silva. Watching him against Forest, his intelligence and so on off the ball. I think with better players around him, a more attacking system, I'm really hoping this is going to suit him as a player and we see him start to score goals. This may be completely irrelevant. Raul Jimenez may well still be able to play, but if it's the same situation, I'd love to see Raul finally get off the mark for this season and scoring some goals. But guys, let me know your thoughts ahead of the game down in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon.